There are moments in history when a single human heart becomes a battlefield, where love, grief, and madness meet, and no one can tell where one ends and the other begins. This is the story of a queen who ruled one of the greatest empires on earth, yet died believing the man she loved was no longer a man at all, but a demon sent to torment her. Her name was Joanna of Castile. History remembers her as Juana la Loca, Joanna the Mad. But madness is never simple, and what truly broke her was not a crown or a kingdom, but a husband she could neither live with nor live without. When she was young, Joanna was brilliant, fluent in Latin, adept in philosophy, sharper than any courtier expected a princess to be. But intelligence offers no protection from the brutality of royal marriages. She was married off at 16 to Philip of Burgundy, a prince so handsome the court named him Philip the Fair, and so charming he turned infidelity into a sport. Joanna fell in love instantly, fiercely, helplessly, the kind of love that fills a young heart with equal parts wonder and danger. Philip, on the other hand, loved Joanna in short, bright bursts, moments of passion followed by long silences, whispers with other women, and a coldness sharp enough to cut her soul open. And the court watched, because a queen's heartbreak is never private. Over the years, betrayal after betrayal carved deep wounds in Joanna's mind. Her jealousy grew wild, uncontrollable, a desperate hunger for the affection of a man who treated her like a political ornament. When she confronted him, he laughed. When she wept, he walked away. When she begged for honesty, the courtiers mocked her behind silk sleeves. It is easy, so easy to call a woman mad when she refuses to suffer quietly. But everything changed the night Joanna discovered Philip with another woman, not just a mistress, but a lady-in-waiting who served in Joanna's most private chambers. Witnesses later whispered that Joanna flew into a storm of grief and rage, cutting her own hair, clawing at the doors, screaming that her husband had been replaced by something unholy. That was the first time she said it out loud. He is not Philip. Something has taken him, something evil. And once she said that, she could not unsee it. In her eyes, Philip became a stranger wearing the skin of the man she loved. His smile seemed too perfect, his voice too cold, his charm too smooth, like a mask carved for deceit. She began watching him at night as he slept, searching his face for signs of the demon she believed had possessed him. Every lie he told her only fed the illusion. Every betrayal confirmed it. Love had twisted into obsession, obsession into fear, fear into something darker. But the nightmare was only beginning. In 1506, Philip fell ill, suddenly and violently. Some say it was a fever, others whispered poisoning. All Joanna knew was that the man who had tormented her heart was dying, and she felt the world cracking beneath her feet. When he finally died, Joanna collapsed over his body, sobbing until her voice broke into silence. But even in death, she believed the demon had not released him. She ordered his coffin opened again and again, convinced that Philip was still whispering to her, that he was only pretending to be dead, that something monstrous lingered in his corpse. Then she did something that would define her forever. She refused to bury him. With winter winds slicing across the Castilian roads, Joanna ordered her husband's coffin loaded onto a wagon and began a long, wandering procession across Spain. Traveling by night, avoiding inns, sometimes stopping in fields just to open the coffin and stare at the face she could not let go. Travelers would later swear they saw a queen in mourning robes illuminated by torchlight speaking softly to a dead man, as if soothing a restless spirit. The truth was far heavier. She was trying to soothe herself. By then the Spanish nobility saw opportunity. A grieving widow was dangerous. A grieving widow believed to be mad, that was a tool. She was imprisoned for her own safety, locked in the convent of Tordesillas. Her power stripped away by her father first, and later by her own son, the future Emperor Charles V. Joanna remained there not for days, not for years, but for nearly half a century. She lived in a single stone room, lit by a small window the sun barely touched. She aged slowly, quietly, like a candle burning without flame. Her ladies said she still spoke of Philip in the dark hours of the night, still believed the demon had taken him, still thought she could save him, or that he could save her. The most haunting detail is this. When Joanna finally died in 1555, the last words witnesses heard from her lips were not prayers, not royal commands, not even whispers of her children. She was calling out for Philip, the man she loved, the ghost she feared, the demon she imagined. A queen of one of the greatest empires in Europe died not as a monarch, not as a ruler, but as a woman trapped inside a love that had long since turned into a prison. History calls her mad, but if you look closely, between the official chronicles and political motives, between the betrayals and the rumors, you see something far more human. A woman abandoned, manipulated, heartbroken, and used. A woman whose grief was weaponized until she no longer knew which voices were real and which were the echoes of a court that needed her to break. Perhaps she wasn't mad at all. Perhaps madness was simply the only language she had left when no one would listen. And that is why her story endures, not because she was a queen who lost her mind, but because she was a human being who could not survive the brutality of a world that demanded she suffer quietly. In the end, Joanna of Castile died believing her husband was a demon. But maybe the real demons were the ones who stood around her throne, the ones who whispered, plotted, and smiled while pushing her deeper into the shadows. And maybe the saddest truth of all is that she died still loving him.